Wow, I think Fitz is the only person to reference the 2004 Pistons other than myself. Wow.
Yeah, I was about to say, hold on.
Thank you, Evan. That brightened
Well,
my
well,
evening.
I don't tie it
I'm
in.
just going to go out and say it. Joey Chestnut has to be on the pub.
Has to
Not
be.
pub more. I mean,
Has to be.
Dramatic, man. That was a journey.
Fitzmagic in September is like one of the hottest athletes in the world.
Luka's
So
on
you
a
want to
mission.
talk about putting a team on your back? Luka is Larry Bird reincarnated. This man might get it done.
And so there's a joke that that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to get traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Tom Brady was like, nah, you're going to go with that motherfucker? Like, I'm coming back.
10 seconds.
What is going on? Welcome to 108 of Pub Sports Talk. We got the doctor in the house, Tim Farner. Father Fitz blessing us with his presence. And the one, the only, he's back again, baby. Jeremy Dowdy sitting down in the pub again, baby. Thanks for joining us.
What's happening? Happy to be here. Thanks, fellas.
Hey, absolutely, man. And we've been breaking into episodes a little differently the past couple weeks since you last joined us. We like to present a random sports fact to get things kicked off. All right. And so we're gonna throw a little curveball here. Fitz, did you come up with one? I got one. I just want to make sure you didn't do some research and stuff.
No far fact today. Sorry.
Yeah, no far fact. Tim, any Pistons fact for us there?
not today, but I'll come ready next week.
Okay. So this one comes from kind of Matt's neck of the woods, a little soccer action. I don't know about you guys, but have you guys ever seen a player, like especially Jeremy, you playing for the Oakland A's, let's say halfway through the game, you just want to flip jerseys. You go play for the other team. You ever heard of that before?
No.
No, right? That doesn't happen except in the world of soccer. The one, the only 44-year-old Pele in his very last match got a chance to do that. So in 1977, playing in the New York Stadium, it was a friendly competition, expedition match between Pele's only two squads, his Brazilian squad and his New York squad. And so he played the first half with the Brazilian squad and then played the second half with his New York squad. So the Somos and Cosmos. He scored over 643 goals for the Brazilian squad and over 659 goals for his New York squad. So it only made sense. It was kind of a cool way to honor his last game, his last send out. And so, Pele is one of those legends we talk about. I want to know, is there anybody you want to see kind of that send off? Maybe they played for multiple teams. Maybe they deserve this send off of getting a chance to go out playing with both sides, or maybe their two favorite teams.
So first off, I would say I got to imagine Pele switching jerseys voids a few wagers back in the day. That people had some money on that game.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, no, but on that token, like to think that I kind of saw one happen live, and I know we kind of hit on it last time I was on when Ichiro played his last game in Japan for Seattle, and it was kind of him coming full circle because he retired, came back, spring training. People weren't really sure what his plan was, so kind of signed that, call it, I don't know, a month contract to go to Japan and retire in a Mariners uniform, and I thought that was pretty cool to see a guy get a send off from his home people. So
100%.
Yeah, not necessarily a complete jersey swap, but to see somebody come full circle like that. And I guess you could kind of say he came truly full circle. Bob Melvin, who was the manager in Oakland, managed Ichiro when Bob was the manager in Seattle. So it was kind of, I don't know if that was part of the scheduling process, but it was cool to see his career come full circle and all the success that he had in Japan. And then obviously the success he had here in the States. That was pretty cool. So, yeah, not necessarily a jersey swap, but pretty badass nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I totally forgot we talked about it before, so I'm glad that lined up pretty right where we left off. Tim, Fitz, anybody coming to mind for you guys?
That's so cool. Like my mind went to NFL quarterbacks that leave their team, like Peyton Manning, Matt Stafford.
I was sitting on that
and-
trying to act cool, and here you go ruining it.
Yeah, I stole your thunder. Yeah. But I'm thinking, like, is there a way to do it in the NFL? Because, with this, it was, what'd you say? It was just an expedition match.
Mhm.
There's a friendly. So it's like, can you schedule a preseason game? Like if you know it's Stafford's last tour or something like that, could you schedule the Rams Lions and just have Stafford come do a drive in the Lions uniform one more time? But I don't know. It was like, I don't know if this works. But that was where my mind went. Is there a way? Because, you ride and die with your quarterback, and seeing them go play for another team, it's not the same. Like when Favre left and played for that purple team, I never saw him in a green jersey again, and if he had just gotten to throw one more pass in a green jersey, maybe all is forgiven. It's still just it's a sour taste in my mouth. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, to your point on Peyton Manning, I think this was probably, 6-7 years ago when Jeff Saturday, who was the center for Peyton, did I guess it was at the Pro Bowl where Peyton came and did like a surprise snap with him. I thought that was pretty cool, kind of along the same path. But yeah, it'd be tough these days to do something like that. But it's always cool when they try to pay homage to where everything started. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like in today's world, it's got to be like a Pro Bowl or an All-Star game. That's the only way it's going to happen now. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Just put on the other helmet. Yeah, that could be a cool way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think when Jeff Saturday did it, I think he just like ran up in
He
the
did as
huddle.
a Packer.
Yeah,
He did it.
Yeah.
He was for the Packers, and Peyton was with the Broncos.
I feel like there's some people in the huddle like, what?
I'll tell you what, that's some good entertainment if you go look at YouTube videos of Jeff Saturday and Peyton Manning going at it on the sideline. There's some pretty good sound clips in there.
Oh, dude, just guys ready to go to war, whether it's at with each other, but they're getting each other better. Like, it's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Tim, you sticking with Stafford?
Yeah, I was trying to think of like a backup, but man, I mean, I really think, call me crazy, I think Stafford's going to come back to Detroit. Once
You're crazy.
I've been crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I'm losing signal. No, I think Stafford's coming back, but I would love to see if my fantasy doesn't come true, I would love to see some sort of homage to the Lions where he suffered for so many years.
Yeah.
Give him a shout out. Give my boys a shout out.
See, I thought your backup might be Dennis Rodman. Play one half with the Pistons, then transition to a Bulls jersey.
I mean, I guess it'd be different if I grew up watching
That is true.
Rodman.
Yeah.
I think I'd have a little more love for him, but
Yeah, that's fair. Mine's going to be Ken Griffey Jr. Play half a game with Seattle and then flip to the Cincinnati jersey. That's just personal bias. I know his numbers were 20 times better in Seattle than it was ever in Cincinnati, but I'm biased to him. So,
yeah. I grew up I guess our age, it's tough not growing up being a Griffey guy. And it's funny, like he doesn't get a lot of the respect that, like, everybody knows Trouts and the Otanis and the Sotos, rightfully so. But you go back and look at Griffey in his prime, like, it was just, kids these days don't appreciate the late 90s years, man. We were just lucky with wrestling figures, sports figures. It was a good time to be growing up, that's for sure.
Dude, absolutely it was. And, Backwoods Cap made that, like, that was the thing to do. You still rock it right now. Still a Backwoods Cap guy. Yeah.
Yeah. When I can find one that fits my head, I'll rock it. So that's few and far between. But yeah, he kind of started that. And honestly, he was like the first one to start the quote unquote swag mentality in baseball. And he was a trailblazer for sure.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. All right.
I do have an honorary. I think it would have been cool to see, to see highlights of like Wayne Gretzky, as he went to the Blues and the Rangers to go back to the Oilers. And like, I don't know, that would be one that I'd be like, okay, that's pretty cool. You can't deny that.
Oh, that would be pretty legend. Yeah. And playing in Edmonton, like sending them back home. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That'd be dope.
I mean, another one I thought of was Jordan when he went to the Wizards. And he still made the All-Star game in 2003 on the Wizards, and he was, you know,
Yeah.
he was still owning even at the age of 40 or however old he was. What if he just put on a Bulls jersey? I think people would have lost their minds.
Yeah.
like, oh, we never thought we'd see it again, and oh, he's back. You know, so it's kind
That's
of
a
cool.
good call. I thought you were going
I
to
mean-
say Jordan plays half a game of baseball and then says, "Nope, we're getting the Bulls out here now."
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Or when he switched from 45 to 23.
Oof.
You know, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, 100%.
I've got one
yeah.
more recent one. How about Dustin Johnson going back to play one more event on the PGA Tour?
Yeah.
Too soon? Too soon?
No, not soon enough. We talked about this last week, and since you brought up wrestling, to me, like the LIV is kind of the NWO, and Phil Mickelson is Hulk Hogan out here, and they're just like it's the takeover, and I am here for it. They're spending money left and right, and they're getting these big names in, and I love the competition of it.
I think, call me crazy. I mean, it's already, in my opinion, made the PGA Tour better because they just announced today that like the mini tour where they're going to do no cuts, a bigger purse.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, they're having to innovate because traditionally the PGA Tour is a little stuffy. So I think it's going to help them with the younger fans, and I'm not saying they're going to go crazy, but like or hate the LIV tour, I think it's gonna bring some change to the PGA Tour, and I think competition is good for everybody. You saw it with WWF and WCW back in the day, kind of the same thing. To your point, Parker, it's like there's going to be some good to come out of it, in my opinion, but we'll see.
I think you're totally right, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to transition to that eventually, so that was a perfect segue. I just, you're right. They've taken what the LIV tour has done and said, "Oh shit, this is actually a good idea. We're not going to admit it. We're just going to steal this idea now and make it run." And so, yeah, them announcing these no cuts, bigger purses, it's exactly what the LIV is, and they have to stop the bleeding somewhere because just today, Katna saying, "Hey, I'm out. I'm going to go to the Live Tour." And they've got to find a way to keep their big dogs at home.
Yep. Yeah, I think, in my opinion, too, I saw Morikawa's name being thrown out there, and I got a little worried then. I was like, all right, we got to draw the line somewhere with some of these younger guys. But, I mean, who knows? It could be, somebody purposefully leaking these names to say, all right, these guys are considering it. And, what's the PGA Tour going to do to make the product better? And whether you agree with it or not, I think it was about time that somebody challenged. I mean, you look at Major League Baseball having the lockout. There's no one to really compete with. I mean, unless you go play internationally. So, the fans are the ones that suffer. So you look at the LIV tour, at least they have, some entertainment on the Live Tour. But yeah, I mean, I think there'll be some good competition to come out of it. I don't think the Live Tour will last. I think anytime there's a spinoff, it has a finite shelf life, but we'll see. I think it's to be determined, but hopefully the PGA can continue to innovate.
Yeah, I agree with you. And they just announced that the LIV members cannot go play for their international teams in the President's Cup. So U.S. players cannot play for the U.S. and Europeans can't go play for Europe, which that's a big blow. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you're right. It's got a shelf life. They've got to make the most money out of it, but hopefully the PGA steals what's good and we have better golf now.
Yeah.
Fitz, Tim, any thoughts on that one?
It's just wild. It's just wild to see.
Yeah.
It's like panic is underway. Yeah.
What if this does the opposite of just it crumbles the PGA? Like everything we know, it just downtrodden.
I mean, that's their nightmare. Honestly, I think that's why they're freaking out so much. But yeah, adapt or die. I mean, that's the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Tim, what were you saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. I wasn't going to put in much. I mean, I don't know. It kind of, I guess, to be cynical, I guess everyone just has a price.
Yeah,
and we're finding that no matter where the money's coming from or the beliefs behind the money, people has a price. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's like you guys said. I think it'll make the PGA. I mean, they sink or swim. Like, let's go. But I don't know. It's kind of sucks to see some of these people go and knowing like some of the shady stuff behind it. It's like,
that's something we haven't talked too much about is the shadiness of it. But
yeah,
Yeah, I saw something today too, a tweet where they were saying, a lot of these guys go in knowing that it's probably going to fold, but that they're prepared to beg for forgiveness, and if they don't, they got a pillow full of cash to go cry on. So it's like one of those things where, yeah, the I guess the morality of it's definitely in question.
Mhm.
But it was wild. I saw a stat where I think DJ got the 100 million, and that was like 20 million more than it wasn't Tiger, it was some other big golfer. But it's just crazy to think with one fell swoop, these guys have made more in a career. Granted, just earnings, not
Mhm.
sponsorship dollars, which obviously sponsorship dollars are probably gone once you go live. But it's wild the money that's being thrown around. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
I mean, yeah, just for showing up, you almost get six figures. Like,
Yeah, right.
you can come in last place, and it's like, oh shit, that's a year on the PGA Tour for one day's of work, 2 days of work.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, let's break into it, Jamie. We didn't get a whole lot of chance, big chance to talk about like your day to day life when you were with Oakland and coming up to the minors. And really, we just kind of want to dive into it. We got baseball right around the corner. World Series going on right now. Things are heating up in the MLB. But how was it for you? Like, that travel schedule is brutal. We've talked about it on here before. It's just, to me, that's a nightmare. You play 188 games. Like, it's unfathomable how many games you guys play and how much you're on the road. How was that day to day operation for you?
Yeah, it was definitely, it was tough. I try not to sound like I'm complaining, because the way we traveled was pretty posh, to put it lightly. I mean, we were taken care of very well. But yeah, Parker, to your point, I mean, it's pretty much from Valentine's Day on to the 1st of October, you're on the go. You got a month and a half in Arizona for spring training, where you're up at 4:30 in the morning, and some nights, if you have a night game, you're not asleep until 10:30 at night. You're doing that for 45 days in the Arizona heat, and then from there you're breaking straight from Arizona going to Oakland. And in Oakland, we had the second worst travel in Major League Baseball. The Mariners were number one. They're further northwest than we are. So our closest divisional trip was Seattle, and that was about a 2-hour plane ride. So, I mean, you figure we're going to Dallas, we're going to Houston 3 times a year. And then when we would go East Coast, we would always have a noon game on like a Wednesday or Thursday. So we'd get to the park about 8 a.m. You show up, drop your luggage off at the front. Our clubhouse assistants, who I think those guys honestly are the unsung heroes, man. They're in there early. They're the last to leave, making sure everything gets loaded. So you bring your luggage to the park, everything gets loaded on the plane before the game's over. Pretty much all we have to do after the game's over is you shower. Your bag's already been packed. It's been zipped up. It's been loaded. Like I said, I have no complaints. I mean, they made life so easy for you. But then, let's say we're going to New York for a 3-game series. We'd always have an off day after the travel day. So let's say you play Wednesday in Oakland at noon. Game's over at, we'll call it 3 for an even number. Generally, we would see 2 hours from the time last pitch was thrown, we'd be wheels up. So that's, you shower and get into the, tarmac, which we kind of had our own little hub. So you'd walk right through security and then onto the tarmac, onto the plane. And you'd have about a 4.5, 5-hour flight to New York, lose the 3 hours. So you're getting in probably 2:33 in the morning. You'd have that next day off. So call it a Thursday off. And then, some guys are different. Some guys like to get up that next day. They might have the wives meet them there, the kids, whatever, because New York's obviously a big trip. So if the families are there, they'd get up, kind of go see the city. Some guys would sleep till noon or 1. In my situation, since I wasn't necessarily a player, I was oftentimes having to go to the park to play catch with a pitcher. So if he had a start in 2 days, he'd want to go to the park even on the off day to stay fresh and keep up with his routine, which I didn't mind, because you always got a pretty good lunch out of it. So those guys took care of you. So we'd go to the park, they'd do their throwing, and then pretty much the rest of the day you have off. But the East Coast trips were always brutal. You'd lose the 3 hours, you're getting in at 3 a.m. But like I said, they make it as easy as possible, but there's definitely an element of bodies kind of breaking down on long flights. Luckily, we didn't have many bus rides. But yeah, man, it's definitely a grind. I think it's more mental than anything, and you probably hear that often with baseball, but it's so true. It's just trying to stay in it for 162 games and hopefully 20 more, whatever it is in the playoffs. So Yeah, it's a grind for sure, but they try to make it as easy as they can.
Phew, golly, I just can't fathom that. Like to be gone from the house that long. I feel like I lose track of the day and time, and there's no way I could figure
100%.
out where I'm at. Yeah.
Yep.
Is there any like horror stories of traveling? I think there was a D2 basketball team playing Drexel this past year, and they forgot their jerseys. They had to use practice jerseys for the game. Was there any like horror stories for you or the Oakland A's? Like, shit, we forgot so and so's bag, or the plane, Delta lost our bags or anything. Any wild
Yeah,
stories like that?
not so much in Oakland because I will say in Major League Baseball, these guys have every single doomsday scenario figured out, and they see it coming. So they bring 3 extra jerseys per player, extra pants, extra bats. Like there's not a thing you can forget on purpose that they don't have.
Yeah.
I will say in the minor leagues, we had this happen multiple times where you're leaving a game. Let's say we finish up at 10 o'clock in a random city, and we're heading 4 hours north. We get in at 3 or 4 in the morning, and the rooms aren't ready, so we're having to hang out in the lobby, and we're playing the next night, so we're just chilling in the lobby. Some guys are playing cards. Some guys are sleeping. And you get there expecting to, just crash and you're a zombie. And then you find out that the rooms aren't ready and you got to wait 6 hours before you can check in. So, yeah, it's literally the polar opposite of big league travel. And that's why, like, when guys say you get to the big leagues, it's like, you want to stay in the big leagues. You quickly find out why you don't want to go back down to the minor leagues. They do everything they can to make life easy for you. And it's gotten better in the minor leagues. I know they're starting to pay for guys housing, which is cool.
Yeah.
They're starting to make sure guys are taken care of before they get to the, wherever their affiliate is. So they're making strides. There's still a lot of work to do, but it is literally night and day when it comes to big league travel versus minor league travel.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember last time we talked to you, we talked about just the horror stories of some of the hotels you guys had to stay in, and just some of the rough shit you guys had to deal with in minor leagues. And so I'm glad that that's got light, and now that people are changing their ways of doing it, because you guys deserve a lot better than that.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny because you're investing millions of dollars in these guys, and you're treating them like they're pennies. So it's good to see they made that change.
Absolutely. I always on the documentaries and stuff, you see like NFL teams, they play Boo Ray on the plane, and they're betting Michael Jordan, for the Bulls, he's betting on the bus and the planes, and it doesn't matter. What type of games do you guys play on the plane, or the long bus rides or anything? And how much money you lose on those bets?
So I'll keep everything anonymous, but they're
Okay.
the one popular game, and I did not take part in this. This was so basically the way our plane worked is you walk in, and coaches, manager, any other we'll call it C-level person
Yeah.
would sit towards the front of the plane. Then you get to the player section. Veterans always sit up front, so the guys with the most service time have the seats up front. And we actually shared a plane with the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know what that connection was. So you can imagine these seats are all built for guys that are 6'10" and up. So there's not a bad seat in the house, but so players would kind of get what we would call first class, which they're all first class seats, but you got the veterans, then you kind of got the younger guys, and then you got what we called support staff. So I kind of fell into that. So it'd be like athletic trainers, some of our in-house media folks, myself, Phil, who was the other bullpen catcher at the time, our strength coach who I sat next to. And so when we would get off the plane, we'd land at our destination, and our travel secretary would walk through the plane during the flight and hand out meal money packets. And I think my last year, I think the per diem, I think it was like just over 50 a day, which it was 100, but then some of the CBA stuff changed, and we ate better at the field, but it's neither here nor there. But the game they would play is basically $100 high card. So, if you want to get in, everybody just throws in 100, and pretty much high card takes, I saw, 1,200, 1,500, 1,600, and $100 for me, making not even a fraction of what they're making. I'm like, I can't do this. And a couple times I got sucked into doing it, but yeah, the high card meal money was one of the more popular ones. So on the flip side of that, in the minor leagues, what we'd always do is when we would break camp in Arizona to go out to the affiliate, we'd land in the affiliate airport, and we would travel. We'd have to check bags like everybody else. The game we played was we'd do like dollar whoever's bag shows up first in the baggage claim thing. And so like everybody would throw in $1 and like you're just watching and people are like, what in the hell is wrong with these people? Because we'd see a bag, we'd be like, ah, damn it. Or like, like you'd be looking at bags and then, whoever's bag pops up. I mean, you're probably winning $25 and in the minor leagues, like that's jackpot. So it's the same mindset. It's just a much different increment. We'll put it that way.
It's such like a more wholesome game there too. Like,
yep.
You got Caesar's Palace and then Church Camp over here going on. Like,
yeah. And
wow.
On that same token, sort of unrelated, but same wagering kind of mindset. And it's kind of been in the news with the whole Jock Peterson thing with the fantasy football.
Yeah.
I can attest, and again, I'm going to keep everything anonymous, but I can attest. I actually co-ran a team in 2019 for one of the players. He kind of picked me. He's like, I don't want to run it. I'll finance it. So you be the GM. I think they did a $1,500 buy-in. So, I mean, it's like these leagues are it's no joke. Like, so when Jock talks about these leagues get heated, you can imagine there's like $10,000, $12,000, $13,000 on the line. Like these guys, it's a lot of money. Yeah. So that's like another kind of wagering thing is guys love fantasy football. The stakes are just higher. It's just like us. Stakes are just a little bit higher.
All right, boys, I got the idea. 10,000 buy-in for this year's fantasy football.
Oh my Lord.
Put up the houses. Let's go to work.
Oh God.
Yeah. Pink slips, baby.
Yeah. Wow. That is wild.
Yeah.
One last question for me, and then Tim and Evan, you can get a crack at him. Recently news, I don't know if you saw it, but Garrett Wilson, he's a rookie for the Jets. He has this priceless reaction about like rookie dinner. Like, hey man, you ready for the rookie dinner? He's like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. Taking all the wideouts to rookie dinner. It's going to be cool. And a lot of veterans like, no, fuck no, that's not cool. Like you're about to drop like $120,000 on this one dinner. And his eyes get like huge and he's bugging out. Did you guys have any like rookie dinners, I don't want to say hazing, we'll say character building part of Oakland or maybe the minor leagues?
Yeah, no, and that's actually a big part of kind of the in-season vibe is whenever you would get to an away city and you had an off day, or let's just say you're getting in at 6, 7 o'clock at night, so perfect time for some dinner. What we would call a bullpen dinner. So everybody in the bullpen, and Phil and I were luckily included in that. So all the relievers would go, the one with the most service time would pick the nicest restaurant in town, call, kind of tell them, or the perks of being in the big leagues, you tell the travel secretary ahead of time, he calls and books for you. That, they kind of tell you where you're coming from, who you are, and you get in. But so yeah, like off days in an away city, you go at to the nicest steakhouse, and the oldest guy would always buy, and you kind of knew that. So it's kind of opposite of the football, and that tradition in football always blew my mind. That like I understand what you're trying to do, you're trying to haze some guys and break them in, but I've seen some of these bills, and I'm like, some of these are astronomical. And I'm like, I don't care what your signing bonus was or what your rookie deal is, like that hurts. You know what I mean? Like these linemen could eat, and I guess the closest thing I saw was guys would, they'd go to a really nice steakhouse and they'd find the rookie reliever. And they tell the waiter before the dinner, hey, pick his card, but I'm going to pay. So like they do like card roulette. And you would see these faces of these guys. And they got me one time. And I'm not going to lie. I literally I thought I was going to break down in tears when I saw the bill. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And, obviously they were fucking with me. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, so they pre-select a card. And, let's say the guy with the most service time, biggest contract says, hey, run this card, but pick this card. Mm-hmm. And so they would they would tell the card to pick, and so they would do that to mess with some guys. But usually they're pretty good about taking care of the younger guys because they know they could be up for 2-3 days at a time. And I think maybe that's the difference between that and NFL contracts where you come in as a rookie, you sign that rookie deal, that's your money. Whereas baseball, you're kind of, major league minimums, you're not eating PB&Js all day, but you're not making nearly as much as some of these rookie football deals. So it's cool that a lot of the older guys take care of the younger guys, and you see that quite a bit in the big leagues, which is really nice.
No, like to me, I don't know, that sounds 20 times better because you get to have a little fun with them, you get a little poke at them, but then you got their back, and that means a lot. Like to have somebody's back, like you were in that boat. Yeah, it's totally different animals. Like you got a guy who might be up there for a week, or 2 weeks compared to someone who's there full. He's locked in for 4 years guaranteed. So it's a little different animal, like you said. But man, yeah, no one's buying Louis the 13th shots for $400 over there, huh?
Yeah, it was. It's impressive how fast these bills can add up too. And I always like giving this guy a shout out, Ryan Madsen, who's he was like a 13-year big leaguer, pitched with the Phillies back when they were in their World Series run. He was kind of their main reliever. One of the most generous guys I was ever around. He would always take me out, me and Phil. We'd go to, right after the game, he'd be like, what does the spread look like? Talking about, what they laid out. I was like, it looks pretty good, man. Like compared to what I mean, he's like, come with me. And he'd find a steakhouse and he just kind of like getting away from everything. He'd tell me about his kids and, family back home. So it was pretty cool. I think these guys get so wound up, and even in the bullpen, you see it, they're very fidgety. And the guys that like to talk a lot, you could tell there's some nervous energy there. And it's natural that like Phil and I are kind of the sounding board where we don't necessarily have to get anxious to play. And it is still a little nerve wracking when the phone rings and you're getting a guy ready in the 9th inning. Like there's still a sense of adrenaline that goes into it. But you find out a lot of these guys are just like us off the field, man. They have these insecurities about their performance, performing in front of 40,000 people. Like it's no joke. And so it's kind of cool to see them kind of broken down, off the field where they're just normal folks like you and I, they just happen to make a lot of money for what they do, but they're all, for most part, the guys are very generous and they like to kind of take care of that next generation because they know that's kind of paying it forward, and those guys will do it for the rookies, in the coming years. So it's good to see that trend continue.
Hey, that's the good vibe, feel good story we're here for. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome. Tim, Fitz, anything to dive in here?
You want to go ahead?
I was just my wheels were spinning with just Jeremy, with your role as I don't know what you would say, the bullpen. There's almost something psychological about it. Like you're kind of like I don't want to say, you're somewhere between like team dad and also like team psychiatrist.
100%. No, you're 100% right. And that's the way we viewed it too. You had to wear you were almost a sounding board for those guys. And that's, you accepted that.
Yeah. Do you think, has that prepared you? I know just reading your story, you hang up the cleats because you're kind of like, okay, I'm not going to go to the majors. Then you get the call to take this position. Does this make you like, does this kind of lean into some coaching aspirations? Like, could you see this as like kind of being a coach figure or a manager figure, whether the majors or minors, or is this just kind of a cool thing that is going in a different direction? Or is this kind of just, hey, I pursued my dream. Now I can do whatever I want. Like, where are you going next?
No, that's a great question. And honestly, till this day, it's like, it's always kind of in the back of your mind. Like, no matter what you're doing in the real world, the corporate world, you're like, I had, we'll call it 18 years of experience, doing the playing route and the coaching route. So, you kind of feel like sometimes you're behind the 8 ball, kind of transitioning away from the field. But I think the last few years, I've kind of learned to appreciate the time back I've been given from being away from baseball. For so much of your life, it's from February to October, and then you get 4 months to cram in what you missed for 8 months. Like just this past year, one of my best friends from high school got married, and I was able to be in that wedding, which normally I would have just had to say, hey man, hope you have a great day. Like, not gonna be able to make it. And it was stuff like that started to wear on me towards the end of even, the Oakland days. And I actually had to leave the last series of the year. My brother got married in September of 2019, and we were actually in Seattle. So I had to fly back for a day and then fly right back to Seattle the next day to finish up the season. And luckily, they were nice enough to let me go. So I'm thankful they let me do that. But I think that started to spin the wheels on like, okay, life's kind of not passing you by, but there's other things going on that I'd like to be a part of. Even if it's just simply going to the beach on a July weekend, like stuff like that was out of the picture. So to answer your question, Evan, I guess it would be, yes, the thought is always there. I think now I just have to channel it into like, okay, I can be, still have the baseball aspect and help out when I can. So help out on the side. So I think it's more of let me be who I am as far as a 9 to 5 now, kind of forge my way that way, and then I can do the baseball thing on the side. It's not the other way around where like baseball is who I am. It's what I do. It's all I have time to do, and then I'll do all the other stuff on the back burner. It's kind of the opposite now, which is nice. I prefer that. There's definitely days where like you have a tough day at work and you're like, damn, it'd be nice to be on a plane drinking a free bourbon right now, or whatever, like thoughts like that. But you realize guys do it for a finite amount of time and they get out of it because it was such a wear, and these families, it's tough to kind of maintain that family environment when you're gone for 8 months out of the year. So I don't regret the decision at all. It was definitely a transition the first 3 years, and selfishly COVID actually helped my transition because baseball was basically shut down. So the year I left was 2019. 2020 was like kind of the delayed spring training. They didn't even know if there was going to be a season. So it kind of gave me
It
time
just
to
confirmed your decision.
Yeah, it was almost like, damn, that's kind of like a sign. Like, all right, maybe you made the right decision, and it just helped ease that transition. And I keep in touch with all the guys. Like we went and saw them in New York this past summer or last summer. So like it's cool to see these guys in other cities, and we haven't skipped a beat. But to be honest, I enjoy having the time to do what go to the beach or go to the mountains or go to a game as a fan and drink a beer on a Thursday, like little things like that you learn to appreciate.
Yeah. So you get to be a homebody now, which is
right.
That's new. I was gonna ask in the days you were traveling, what would be your favorite city to travel to, and then what was your favorite stadium you got to play in?
Favorite city, I think hands down is Toronto. There's just something about like it's a melting pot up there. It's very similar to New York where they don't call them boroughs, but there's different boroughs, there's different neighborhoods, and it's just so clean, man. Like you can go up there and you won't find a piece of trash on the sidewalk. And it's just like it's hard to explain. It's almost like it's like an aura around the city, and it's just awesome. Like guys will tell you to a man, in my opinion, when they say what's the coolest city, in my opinion, it's Toronto. Stadium, not so much. The stadium's okay. Great environment. I would say one of the best environments you can be around as far as their fans being passionate. As far as stadiums go, I'm a purist, man. I love the Fenways. I love Wrigley. Going to Yankee Stadium was obviously cool. Just with whether you like or hate Yankee fans, they're a rare bunch. So those were cool. And to be honest with you, I based a lot of my preferences off how the bullpen setup was. So if the bullpen was nice, I was a fan. Seattle's up there for me because Seattle's kind of like the fans are basically leaning on the rail next to the bullpen. So the rail kind of runs parallel to the bullpen. And so you're getting all sorts of chirps and obviously you get some good conversations here or there. But city-wise, I would say Toronto, and then stadium-wise, I think kind of the classics, the Wrigley, Fenway, Yankee stadiums are definitely up there for me.
Yeah, very cool.
That's awesome. I've always heard Toronto's like utopia almost. Like you said, it's like there's no trash. Everybody's chill. It's nice.
Yep.
Little earthly vitamins are legal up there. Like it's just a nice vibe they got going on there.
If you want to indulge, you certainly can up there. And I would say a close second. And when you tell people on the street, they're like, really? I would say Kansas City is a sneaky second. We always would have an off day there, so the downtown area is super cool. Obviously, the barbecue there is unreal. But there's just something about Kansas City. It's kind of like a good mix between blue collar, white collar city. But it's another cool city. Like they get behind their teams. The Chiefs Stadium's right next door to the Royals Park, so it's kind of a cool vibe there. But yeah, I think there's really not a bad city. Maybe Baltimore, but
Devin,
yeah,
heartbroken.
Other than that, and even Baltimore. I will say Baltimore, one of the nicest hotels we would stay at. I won't give up the name, but Baltimore, one of the nicest hotels. Trying to think if there's another one that would stand out. Obviously, Miami was pretty cool. We would always get an off day there when we would play the interleague game. So going to Miami was cool. But yeah, I mean, there's really not a bad city in the bunch compared to what we used to come from the minor league. So we were pretty lucky.
Fair enough. Yeah. Miami, Chattanooga. Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. Toss up.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, I got a two-parter here for you. So we kind of talked about gambling and drinking a free bourbon and some other things. So you obviously had a lot of travel time. How did you mostly spend that time, between games or on a flight? Were you trying to link up with family? Were you just trying to rest? And then, you hear about all these athletes who spend millions of dollars on their body. What's the craziest thing you've seen, any athlete do as far as recovery, or like had their trainer meet him in New York to give him a massage? I don't know. Was there anything just wild like that?
Ooh, yeah. So this one, man, this could be a long-winded answer because there's a lot. I guess the first piece of that question, how we would kind of spend time, the downtime. A lot of it is, if you have some buddies or some family in the city, is trying to get out and see them. And that was a cool part of my job, was it basically afforded me the chance to go see some of these folks basically for free. Like traveling was free. You're staying at a great place. So if you had a buddy from high school, I had a couple buddies that live in Chicago, so we would always um, we'd do like 3 games in the South Side, and then we'd have an off day, and then we'd do 3 days against the Cubs. So like you'd have basically a week in Chicago, which was really cool. So got to see some buddies up there. When we go down to Miami, my closest family's in Miami, so we'd always get to see them. But other than that, it's kind of like myself, Phil, who was the other bullpen catcher, who's actually now managing in the minor leagues in the A's system, and then like the strength coach and a couple of the trainers. We were kind of like the group that stuck together, mainly because we kind of went to the park at the same time, we left at the same time. We fell between that. We're not players, we're not coaches, we're kind of that support staff, so we kind of blended together in that realm. So yeah, I mean, like you get an off day, you're going to check out maybe a cool bar, or you're going to check out a restaurant. But I mean, I would say the world is your oyster on off days. Like you can do whatever you want. Some guys sleep till 2. They don't leave the room. They get room service for 3 meals, and then they call it a day. I always like to get out, even if we got in super late. I like to get up a little early. My big thing was going around, getting a cup of coffee in the morning, just kind of walk. I'm like, when else am I going to have a trip to Seattle or San Francisco or wherever? So I try to take advantage of being there. But yeah, it's whatever you wanted to make it. Obviously, we would have a couple beverages at the park after a game. That honestly is probably my fondest memory. And it sounds terrible, like, God, this guy's an alcoholic. But it's more so like, you win a game, and win or lose, you're probably having a beer or two. But like, you win a tight game, and the celebration kind of slows down, and you're just in the clubhouse drinking a beer, and you're talking to somebody about their kids at home, or whatever the case may be. It's like that's what I kind of miss the most, is just not necessarily the baseball part of it, but like the behind the scenes. You're chopping it up with the guys in the clubhouse. So yeah, a lot of that, just kind of telling stories of back home, and then a lot of golf, obviously, on off days. Guys would bring their clubs on the plane, and they would have the travel secretary book their tee times and you're not playing a muni, like they're playing private TPC courses, like they're getting on those. So I wish I would have golfed, not that I'm good, just frequency of golf. So I wish I would have golfed like I do now back then, because I could have taken advantage of a lot of really nice courses. But yeah, and then the second piece, there is a lot of interesting things that go on as far as guys taking care of their bodies, and some of it is beyond me. There is a lot of guys have sponsorships by these nutrition companies, or like Theragun or Therabody. So like we actually had, part of my job was to keep 2 Theraguns in my bag to bring down to the bullpen. So like guys would be, using the Theragun if they knew they were going to be coming in the next inning. They would kind of loosen their body up with the Theragun. We had a team masseuse that guys would go see. It was actually a male masseuse. They'd go see him a couple times, like before stretch or something. Work some stuff out. We had a nutritionist, so she would kind of get with you and say, "This is what you're trying to do. You're trying to maintain weight. You're trying to lose a little weight. What are you trying to do?" And then, of course, there's guys that did their own lifting, and lifting's still a big part of the game, even in the big leagues. Guys get in there and they get after it, because it's easy to say after a tough game, like I just want to take it to the house, drink some beers, but I mean, your body remembers what you do to it. And so these guys, I will say, guys that stay on the field, Marcus Simeon is a guy that comes to my mind who's in Texas now. He was in Oakland with me, and then I actually came up in the minor leagues with him. That man does not come off the field. Like he's been bumps, he bumps, bruises, whatever. Like he stays on the field for 162. He did it for 140 in the minor leagues, and he plays a premium position, shortstop, second base. Like that's a demanding position.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to these guys know, like, when their body feels inflamed, they know what to do to kind of counteract it. And granted, they're not geniuses. They have a lot of help. Like guys, they have a team dedicated to making them tip top and keeping them on the field. But you got to give credit where credit's due, where they could easily just go on the plane after a tough road trip and throw down, a bottle of bourbon or a bottle of wine and say, oh, that's making me, that's relaxing me. These guys are drinking water on the planes. They're drinking Gator Lights. They're drinking, all kinds of sodium tablets just to kind of keep their body where it needs to be. So, and there are trainers in certain cities that travel. Like they won't travel with the team, but they'll meet their guy in the city, and they'll go do, like, cryo chamber was big for our guys. We had one in Oakland. We had leaky plumbing, but at least we had a cryo chamber at the Coliseum. So like cryo chambers were big. But yeah, like it's pretty impressive. And even when I retired in 2016, that wasn't necessarily a huge part of the game yet. Like guys were kind of picking up on different techniques and more and more studies were coming out about recovery and stuff like that. But I would say in the last like 5 years, it's really taken off as like, this is a priority for organizations to keep guys on the field. And it's pretty impressive to see some of the work that goes into it.
Yeah, that's incredible that I guess you think these multi-billion-dollar organizations invest in your players and you and the support staff. And so like having these resources, that's pretty cool. Like my work doesn't offer me a nutritionist. Like that would be pretty cool to be like, you know what? I'm trying to like put on a little weight. It's bulk season. Like, what do I need to do? What are my macros here? Like, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
But,
yeah, and it would be to the point where guys would have their orders, and so the shakes were big after batting practice. If they'd come up and the shakes would be labeled, and our nutritionist, I think her name was Wendy. I think she's still there, but she would have guys, what they were looking to do. Like I said, were they trying to maintain? Were they trying to put on a few pounds? Were they trying to lose a few pounds? And so different fruits, different vegetables, different seeds. Like seeds were big, and again, like this stuff is beyond me. I don't really mess with that stuff, but like a lot of research went into it. So it's cool to see that it's available. It's just a matter of like who takes advantage of it, and you can tell who the guys are that take it serious, because they're, like I said, they're the guys that play 162. And believe it or not, that's a big talking point come negotiation season. Like if you're hitting 230 but you're on the field for 162, and they know you're reliable, that goes a long way.
Yeah, I can believe that for sure. Any other questions about Dowdy and his playing experience, which I feel like we could do for a whole podcast on, because it's been awesome. Cool. If we think of one, we're just gonna have to get you back on.
Let's do it. Absolutely. I'm always in, man. Let's do it.
Well, let's talk a little MLB if you're down. For me, I don't know about you, but is there any team that's really surprising in the standings for you? Is there any team that really jumps out to you, whether it's sitting at one or sitting in the basement? I can review the standings if you need me to.
I would say there's kind of two right now. And I think the two are, you're going to say, really, like one team won the World Series last year, and then the other team's a perennial contender. But I think that with the start Atlanta had, you see where they're at now. I think they're 11 games over 500. Yeah. I knew that, it was a matter of time before they hit it. I always say a general rule of thumb for me is don't freak out until 60 games. Like if after 60 games, things don't necessarily look good, like it is a long season. And that was the one thing that Bob Melvin was very good at in Oakland, was like, he's been around it long enough. It could be a doomsday scenario where like everything has gone wrong. It literally nothing shows that we're going to kind of ascend out of this funk we're in. But I always say in the big league, 60 games is kind of like the measuring stick, where if after 60 you're starting to climb out of it, we told you so. And then if after 60 you're like, okay, we're going to be in sell mode. And that happens. Like you have to determine, are you going to contend or are you going to sell at the deadline? Because if you're going to sell, or if you're not going to contend, there's no point in hanging on a veteran guy that's on a 1-year deal. Like maybe try to move him to a team that needs a glaring piece and get some prospect capital back. So there's a fine line of saying we're not good enough to compete this year. Let's sell, or let's go all in and double down.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
So, like, I guess to answer that, it would be Atlanta 1, and then honestly for me, the Yankees, because for some reason it's like New York. You always think, okay, they're gonna do what the Yankees do. Like their fans are gonna turn on them. They're gonna you thought this hot streak just wasn't gonna last. A couple games. Stanton's actually producing at the plate, so you're like, okay, this is definitely a fluke. Like something's up here. And then Garrett Cole's starting to find his streak lately, and you got Aaron Judge, who's just unworldly right now. So I guess it's not necessarily a surprise. I guess it's just like affirmation or confirmation that, like, okay, they're probably a pretty damn good ball club. Especially with that bullpen. But I think Atlanta, like I said, it's good to see them because I'm a big Matt Olson fan. He was great to me in Oakland. And when the Braves acquired Olson, it was kind of a mixed bag where people were like, I don't know about this. We lost Freddie Freeman. And I was telling all my buddies that are Braves fans, like, just relax. You're going to love this guy, I promise. And it took him while he's an Atlanta kid. It's the coolest story ever. He found out they were offering him, I think he got 168 over 8, but they found out they were offering that on a plane. And his agent texted him, was like, yo, you need to call me like yesterday. And so he's like, all right, I'm on a plane. Let me call you in Atlanta. And he's like, yeah, the Braves, I'm going to give you 168 over 8. And he grew up in Atlanta, Marietta. And so he was like, yeah, like we're going. Obviously, he didn't really have a choice. Like, they traded him and then signed the extension, which is pretty cool. But to see a hometown kid like that in Atlanta producing, and I grew up a Braves fan, so it's really cool to see. But I'm hoping that they kind of find that magic they found last year and continue. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, that 60-game mark, you can kind of make your assumptions, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a fun stretch. You got Toronto, who I don't know. Toronto could get hot and give the Yankees some trouble. Obviously Tampa, but yeah, we'll see. I always love the second half of the baseball season. There's a lot that can happen with trades and whatnot. So I'm pretty excited.
I like that rule of thumb: 60 games, then you can pay it. I like that because I think you're right. A lot of fan bases are like, oh shit, implode now. And it's like, oh, hold on. We're 10 games in. Like, let's relax here. Life's good. And on the flip side of that, the Yankees, I've been like, all right, it's time for the Yankees to do what they do. They choke.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. Like, all that money, they got to choke on it eventually. But this season seems a little different. They just seem like a different Yankees team than what we've seen in the past 5-6 years.
They just don't lose. And I got a buddy who's, typical obnoxious Yankees fan. And it's like every day. And then one of his buddies is a Rangers fan, hockey. And so when the Rangers beat the Hurricanes, I had to hear it from two sides. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm pretty much the anti-New York sports fan the rest of the year. So
yeah.
If the Yankees don't win another game, I'm all right with it. So
fair enough.
But I tell you what, they get behind them when they're good. They'll hear it when they're not good, but you can't fault them when they're good. You'll hear it because you'll know it from any Yankees fan that they're having a good year. But
they come out the woodworks.
Yeah, MLB loves it. I mean, it's always good for baseball when the Yankees are doing well. So I think ratings are probably showing that too.
It's big money, absolutely. Best out of 7, Yankees or Mets? Who's winning it?
Oh man, assuming all Mets starters are healthy, which is a big if, I think I go Mets. I mean, if you roll out DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett, who I was with Bassett in Oakland, that guy is a freaking gamer. Like, game on the line, obviously I'm probably going DeGrom or Scherzer, but like Chris Bassett is one of the best third options you can have. I just think depth-wise, I think the Mets, they kind of have that swagger back this year. I think their Buck Showalter was a good hire for them, kind of that veteran presence in the dugout. I always just base it off pitching. I mean, yeah, the Yankees have Nestor Cortez and Garrett Cole. Nestor kind of came out of nowhere. He's throwing really well this year. I think the Mets have proven options. I mean, like I said, you go Scherzer, DeGrom, Bassett for a 1-2-3, and then Taijuan Walker, and I can't remember who their fourth starter is, or fifth starter. But I mean, come on, you get DeGrom and Scherzer for first two games of the series with Lindor in the lineup, Pete Alonso doing what he's doing. I mean, I think it would be a hell of a series, and I think a lot of people are rooting for that, another Subway Series. But I think if I was a betting man and had to put money on it, I think you got to go with the arms that the Mets have.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think anything much of the Mets because honestly, they haven't been anything since I've been alive. But Fitz was like, yo, check out the Mets. They're doing something this year. And he hitched his horse to him, and I hitched my horse to Fitz. I'm like, all right, we're riding this Mets train because my Reds are dead. Done. Get them out of here.
Yeah. And
Mets were my early World Series pick.
Yeah,
I like it.
Back maybe I did not listen to your 60 game rule. It was maybe like 20 games in. I was just like, the Masons are back.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'd love to see, Yankees Mets. What do they call it? The Subway Series?
Subway
I've never
series,
heard that. I've never heard that. That's awesome.
Take the subway from Queens to the Bronx, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's dope.
that'd be an awesome series. So,
Mm-hmm.
Any other MLB stuff we want to talk about before we hop in a little College World Series? That's where all my attention has been for this past 2 weeks.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. College World Series, it's kicked off, and there's been 3 teams already eliminated. I was a big Volunteer fan, big Tennessee fan. Notre Dame knocks them off. I grew up a Notre Dame fan in football, so I said, all right, fine. I'll support Notre Dame now. And then they get knocked out. So I think I just got the kiss of death here. Call me Jenny Gray. But Notre Dame goes out today. Texas, horn down. They're done. And then number 1 seed, Stanford, they're out too. They lost to an Auburn team that's on the ropes right now. But they're dealing with a stomach bug. I don't know, a lot of things going on. But this College World Series has been a ton of fun just to watch, and it's really got me juiced up for baseball. We were talking before we went on, Dowdy. You said it's kind of bringing some juice back to the game, which is what we needed.
Yeah. No, and I think I was even locked into the super regionals, and it's just crazy to me that some of these games are so exciting, and you got to dig 3 or 4 pages down on ESPN to find them. And like, granted, I understand that college baseball is not a revenue generating sport like football is, so I get that. But I do think there needs to be a bigger push to make these games more accessible. And I will say, even coming from my days at App, it was impossible basically to watch us on TV. You'd maybe catch it on a live feed. I'll go over to my buddy's house now, and we'll be able to watch him play a midweek game on ESPN Plus. So that is a positive. That's a positive to me. I think we're going in the right direction there. But if you watch like Texas, East Carolina Super Regional and tell me that wasn't an exciting 3 games, like as a casual sports fan, you're crazy. Like the Greenville Jungle, Texas, all those guys with 30 home runs. Like I think the ball is probably a little juiced, but I'm all for it. Like I told you guys on the last show, like I've gone on record as saying, if we can't get steroids out of the sport, let everybody do it. Let's have balls going 800 feet. Let's have guys throwing 120 and see if that's what the fans really want. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, I don't condone PED use. Like, I think guys that do it the right way get the short end of the stick there. But they talk about, okay, we want to get rid of, we want to knock down the time of games. But then now there's talk of trying to juice the balls back, and we want to see more home runs. Like, well, more home runs are going to be longer games. So can't have your cake and eat it too. We got to kind of find a happy medium. But yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed with the college product. I think it's 10 times better than it was when I was in college. Like, I see these kids I work with too, as kind of like a one-off training. Some of these kids, they're just better than we were back in the day. And it's no fault of anybody. It's just, they have more access to training. They train year round. I just think they're, honestly, some of them are just bigger and more physical than we were. And that's probably, a direct result of the training aspect, but the product is better. Like, the game is better. I watched the game from the sideline in 2019 in Oakland and would watch these guys and realize I was a pretty damn good player, had a hell of a career, but I had no business being on the field in the big leagues for 162 games. That's just what it is. Like, I was okay saying that. They're just that good. And I think until you see a game field level, you don't realize how good these guys are. You come out to a Raleigh men's league game on a Wednesday, you might see some elite play. But for what I was in 2019 or what I saw, it's like, these guys are so good. They're truly the best at what they do. And I think, to me, it goes hockey players, like NHL players, are the most skilled. And then I think baseball is right behind it. I truly do. And I'm biased. And obviously there's an aspect of athleticism and skill with football. I'm probably a bigger football fan than I am baseball fan, but I appreciate the complexities of baseball and how hard it is because I did it. So to me, I think the college game's going the right way as far as the product they're putting on the field.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago of, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but Tennessee flicking off the ball, Oklahoma State doing the Johnny Depp run, like having some fun and some flair. Obviously, one's more vulgar than the other one. But to me, I think that's good for the game. What do you say? Like, you ever just wanted to flick off the outfielders or the ball? Like, you ever had that feeling? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think so. I am not I guess what people call like there's a term that people use for these old guys in baseball that they're kind of stunting the growth of baseball. I'm all for. I will say our pitching coach in Oakland, who I got very close with, Scott Emerson, always said, "Look, if you give one up, like that's on you. Like you gave it up, whatever he does is on you. But as a hitter, you can't be mad when a pitcher punches you out and does a Marcus Stroman strut off the mound or does something like you can't. Like I said, you can't have one without the other. So I'm all for it, man. Let them do their thing. I think there's certainly a line that is drawn. Like I hate when I see an umpire like push a kid when he's like watching his home run. I think it was in the Tennessee Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the game's not about you. And my problem with umpires is I think the best umpires are the ones that you never notice them. You don't know they're there. It's the ones that want to make it about them. And I'm like, just let the kids be kids. They're 18, 19, 20 years old. Like, let them be kids. Let them have some fun. You're always talking about how we're trying to grow the game and get more kids involved. Well, let them be themselves. Like you're not these kids know, I think, where the line is, but I'm all for, man. You want to bat flip. I never had that luxury because if I hit one, I wasn't sure if it was going or not.
Right.
So like I never did it. I was always busting it out of the box because I was like, all right, that's not getting out. But like if you have the power to do it, like some of these balls hit today, by all means, like you earned it.
Pimp that thing. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's 5 teams left. We got Ole Miss, which they're the last team in. They're the last undefeated team left in the tournament right now. They're the only team without an L. Then you have Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Auburn, which they're battled right now. One of those teams will be bounced tonight. Do you have a favorite out of this group?
So I'm split on this one. I have two preferences, two favorites. Ole Miss, our athletic trainer for baseball when I was there at App, is now the head athletic trainer at Ole Miss, Josh Porter. So I obviously want to see him win one. However, at Texas A&M, a guy I came up with in the White Sox minor league system, Michael Early, is the assistant hitting coach at Texas A&M. So kind of have two dogs in the fight. If I had to pick, I think if either one of those teams winds up winning, I'd be happy. I obviously want to see JP get her. I think that would be awesome. I mean, he was best in the biz when he was up there with us, and to see him he's been at Ole Miss now, I think, probably 10 years, I think. So to see him kind of progress and stay the course, that'd be really cool. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know if I can make a pick right now. It's the college baseball world's so crazy. I mean, you look at like betting odds on some of these games, they stay fixed. Like they won't really move them because nobody really knows like what's going to happen, who's going to pitch, if we've even seen this kid pitch. So I think that's what makes the college game so exciting is you get these kids that nobody knows about, but they go out there and throw 6 shutout innings and it's the game of their life and it's all it takes. So yeah, I think Ole Miss or A&M I'd be happy with.
I totally agree with you. And it's something cool about it. It's like what sports is all about is this no name, just sticking it to them, just shoving it up their tail and just like, hey, where'd this kid come from? And he's that feel good story for that team and that town, that fan base, which is pretty dope.
Yep. And I think you get that in baseball more so than any other sport. Football, you guys know, occasionally you'll get the kind of Cinderella team, but football ultimately becomes who's more physical. You can't. You got an SEC offensive line. It's tough to just overcome that with willpower, in certain situations. But baseball is in my opinion, a completely different game. You had Fresno State win it a few years back, and they came out of nowhere. It's anybody any day. And I always say there's no shot clock, there's no game clock in a baseball game. It's 9 innings, it's 27 outs. So it's the only sport where you can't play prevent and win a game. So you got to go out there and earn it. And I think that's what makes it pretty cool with these college kids.
I like that take a lot for sure. Fitz, Tim, any other takes on College World Series here?
No, I just want to know who your favorite is so I can put money on the other team.
Oh, the ultimate fade.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it's going right now. And I'm sorry, JP. Sorry, Ole Miss. I'm attaching my horse to you now. So,
oh god,
sorry, Ole Miss fans.
Okay, there you go. I'm sure the Rebs will take whoever they can get, man. They're in the driver's seat now. They were 2-0 last time I checked. Are they still in the driver's seat in the winner's bracket?
Exactly. Yeah, they're the only one sitting there, pretty.
Ooh.
So
It's a good place to be.
a real good place to be. Hotty toddy, baby. I'm all in. I'm sold.
All right, let's ride.
All right, let's jump into a little NFL here. You're a big Dolphins fan, right? If I remember correctly.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
Call me
wow.
crazy. Yeah,
Hey.
I know. I always say not a bandwagon. Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
I always say, I'm a real Dolphins fan because there's no bandwagon Dolphin fan, so we're real.
Yeah, that is true. I don't know this next season, you might have some people hop on.
I know,
especially with that guy right there, Tariq Hill.
I know it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting with everybody, over a YouTube video or a Twitter video dogging on Tua and the arm strength. And it's funny, Parker, when we did the random sports fact of the day, I was going to break one out. I actually read it today, and I thought I had seen it before, but last year in 2021, Tua had the second most accurate deep ball percentage in the league. Deep ball being any pass over 25 yards, only behind Kyler Murray. And I was like, I looked at it and I was like,
Whoa.
damn, I guess that's right. Yeah. So the second most accurate deep ball percentage in the NFL, believe it or not.
Wow.
Granted, he only threw, so the caveat to that, I guess, is he only threw deep 7.3% of the time. But hell, as a Dolphins fan, I'll take what I can get. I believe it. I'm a believer. He's going to air the ball out. He's going to throw for 8,000 yards. It's just going to be one of those years.
Hey, that's pretty good. You know what's better than any Tony Romo stat I heard by ESPN? And like when Tony Romo drinks purple Gatorade in the third quarter, he's undefeated. He has a QBR rating of 200. Like,
yeah.
I hated those damn things. But hey, 7.3%, we'll take it. I had no idea Tua was. Wow.
Yeah, and that's been the big knock on him. This offseason is, okay, you signed Tyreek Hill, but he's can he get it there? Can he throw it to him? I said, it's going to be interesting because we brought in McDaniels from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was considered the quote unquote run game coordinator, OC kind of hybrid, but he's got a unique way of running an offense. He kind of employs the fullback too. So we signed a fullback, and I'm like, damn, you don't see that too much anymore. But I was a little perplexed when we got rid of Flores because I thought we were on the right track. We were kind of going in the right direction, and I always hate to see a new change at the top, but again, I'm not paid to make those decisions, so you just kind of got to trust that they're the right ones. But it's nice to see we have a true offensive guy there. I think you don't bring in a Tyreek Hill to misuse him or not, utilize him enough. So, I mean, I think between him and Waddle, I mean, you got weapons. I think this is a make or break year for Tua. I mean, if you can't do it, and then you got Gesicki, who's kind of a playmaker in his own right, but
100%.
You got playmakers. We signed Armstead, the tackle from the Saints, to kind of anchor the left side of the line. So we're putting all the pieces in place to give him a chance. I'll be a hater too if he comes out this year and just throws up a dud. Ultimately, you got to say, hey man, this just isn't working. You got to take your losses and move on. So we'll see. It's going to be a big year for sure, but there's no excuse this year. That's for damn sure.
Hey, you're absolutely right. And me and Evan talked about this last week. They're over under set 9 games. Are they hitting that 9 game wins? Or are they going over? Are they going under? It's right there, that sweet spot we said.
So, just being a Dolphins fan and knowing what they put me through, I would have to take the under. I mean, back when it was a 16-game season, they are the habitual 8-8 team. That is what they do. Maybe the 9-7 if they sneak one out. Couple 6-10s, but what they do every year is they start off hot, win a few games, and then they have that stinker. They just put up an absolute dud. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what the football equivalent of 60% or 60 games is. I guess maybe 4 or 5, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll see. I mean, I would like to say the over just based off. I think the Jets should be an automatic 2 wins, even with Zach Wilson and company there. Buffalo, I think, is bound to have a Josh Allen performance where you're just kind of scratching your head, sneak one of those out. And I always say we're going to beat New England twice just because that's always fun to say. I know Jenny hates that, but it is what it is. So, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, a Dolphins fan, I never get too excited, even though I always do. But, we'll see. I mean, 10-6 or 11-6, I'd be over the moon if we go 11-6. We'll put it that way.
They got a tough schedule. I'm looking at their schedule right now.
It's brutal.
They got the Steelers division, so they got to play Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers.
Hey, you get the Browns in there.
And they got the Packers division, so they got Vikings, Lions, Packers. Bears.
I think we got a primetime game too, thanks to the Steelers. So that hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves on a Sunday night there. I think I saw that one, but yeah, you're right. The divisions we're paired with this year are pretty brutal. But
That's tough.
Yeah, and
I guess
your bonus opponent is the Niners.
oh
The AFC NFC bonus you get the Niners.
yeah,
It's not an easy
no.
schedule.
And I just don't like the whole offseason talking about the Dolphins. I kind of like Dolphins sneaking up on people, but now, with Tyreek and Waddle and a couple other free agent signings. Who I saw? I totally forgot about Cedric Wilson from Dallas, who I was like, this guy was always very solid.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of, played third fiddle to Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, but I'm like, damn, this guy's a hell of a player. He can make some tough catches. So I'm like, there's no excuse this year is basically what I'm getting at. I mean, I think defensively we were solid enough last year to keep us in some games. It's all on Tua now. I mean, if he's your franchise guy, and I always said it with Ryan Tannehill, like if we're 2 or 3 years into this thing and you're asking me if this guy's your answer, he's not. Like that's always been my mindset is after 2 or 3 years you don't see it, then I think it's time to move on. And Tannehill with a change of scenery in Tennessee obviously helped, but it's never good if you're asking a couple of years down the road if this is your guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're exactly right. Tim,
But the bar's low. The bar's
That
low.
is true. That is true.
It's better to
true.
be under the radar than over the radar.
Yeah,
it's very true.
that's fair. Tim, over under 9.
Oh man, I'm gonna give him. Shoot, I don't know. That's tough. I'll give him the over just because I'm a believer in the struggle, and you gotta lift each other up. So
That's right.
I'm gonna need that same energy from you when we're talking about the Lions. There,
That's right. That's right. I'm with you.
I love it.
Well, if you get a game with Stafford under center to retire, I mean, I'll count that as a win. As the
heck yeah, let's go.
I love it. Well, I won't give you the Lions here, Tim, but I'll give you Pittsburgh, and I really want to hear your take on this because I feel like I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm hyping you up in my head, and I hope you deliver. If not, I'm gonna be a little disappointed.
Oh gosh,
Chase Claypool has self-proclaimed he's a top 3 wide receiver in the league. That he is top 3, not in the division, not in the AFC, but in the league, he's a top 3 wideout. What's our thoughts on this?
He's not even the best receiver on the Steelers.
yeah.
I think Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson's the best receiver. On the
Better.
Steelers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh, he said that, huh?
I mean, I guess you have to have the confidence, but like, you got to have some sense. Like, come on, you can't be that thick-headed to think that you're the top 3. It's just, wow.
I was like, my jaw hit the floor. And Dowdy, when you were talking about watching from the sideline of the Oakland, I'm like, damn, I'm on this field with these guys. Like, they're just at a different level. That's the mindset I think Claypool needs to have. He's one hell of an athlete. He's not even in my top 20 of wideouts in the league right now.
Right. Well, hell, you look at the Rams last year, you had Kupp, OBJ, and Robert Woods. It's like those 3 are all better than, in my opinion, Chase Claypool. Like that's 3 in the same wide receiver room. And then to y'all's point, he's not even the best receiver on his team.
Exactly.
That's incredible. Freiermuth might be a better receiver, and he's a tight end.
100%
in Pittsburgh.
I totally agree with you.
That's wow.
I took some of the top wideouts from the past 2 years here and compared them to Claypool's numbers. Claypool only had 2 tutties, 1,700 yards. Cooper Kupp had 19 tutties and 2,900 in 2 seasons. Justin Jefferson had 17 and 3,000 yards. Fitz, your former boy Devontae Adams, 29 tutties and 2,900 yards. Like amazing. Jamar Chase, my guy, only 1 season, had 13 tutties and 1,400 yards, just 200 plus yards less than him.
I'm gonna be honest with you. There might be a quarterback with more receiving touchdowns, and I'm not even kidding you. Than Claypool with the end arounds and the trick plays. I'd love to find that stat if there's a quarterback that's got more than. I know Tannehill had one last year, I think it was, and he was a receiver in college. So yeah, I'd love to look that up to see if there's a quarterback with equal. That's a bold statement. I'm all for confidence, but. My goodness, son. That's
even a lineman. Like I'm sure there's linemen that have.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was wondering if TJ Watt does like his brother does. If they put TJ in the tight end package. I don't think he has.
I think they put him at fullback. Like I know his brother's a fullback too, but I think they put TJ at fullback too.
Okay.
I could be
That is
wrong.
not a man I want to meet at the line of scrimmage.
Hell
That is
no.
skin.
That's an Olay for me.
Yeah,
I tripped.
That's
I'm sorry.
that's a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
Mm.
One more football set of news here. This one's kind of sad. Gronk, the party's over. Turn out the lights. He's officially retiring part 2 here. He's calling it career. And unlike the original retirement, I think this one's for real. I feel like he's going out. He won another championship, came up close this past season, but the injuries he's had, I think it's just time for Gronk to go to part 2 of his life, or part 3 or part 4, whatever part he's on. To me, I don't think he's got anything else to prove. He's probably the best tight end we've seen play the game in a long time. And so to me, shout out to you, to the dome, throw it back there. Gronk, you're the man. Like I think he needs to call it a day officially, and I'm happy for him.
Hey, there's another jersey. There's a jersey for you.
That's a good one.
Gronk could play a preseason with the Patriots.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. He what did he do? Was it last year? He did the New Year's Eve show where he spiked it was like a mold of Al Roker's head, and he just spiked it, and it wasn't planned. And Al Roker, Steve Harvey's looking at him like, this dude is freaking nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I think that probably fits him perfectly post career. Like have him do some stuff like that. I honestly think, believe it or not, I think Gronk could get in the booth and add some insight. I think he kind of plays up the dummy, the dummy mentality. But I think he's actually a really smart guy when it comes to X's and O's. So I could totally see him getting a chance to do that, kind of like Tom Brady lining his up. But guy that's played that long, man, won as many championships as he won, like you got to be able to bring something to the booth that I personally would love to, whether it's comedic relief or not. Like I think that'd be interesting to hear his take on some color.
I totally agree with you, because the way he runs his routes, the way he's blocking, you can tell that man watches film. Yeah, he likes to have fun, but he plays it up because that's a brand. That's who he is. And like I think Amazon just signed Fitzpatrick. Could you imagine the Harvard brand of Fitzpatrick and then Gronk getting like side commentary there? That would be good money for any NFL game.
I would be all for it.
Yeah.
I could also see like Gronk doing the Pat McAfee route, and then either having his own podcast or his own show of just him and his buddies or his brothers just like shooting shit for an hour and a half each day or something. Like I think that would be entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
The Kardashians, but it's just the Gronkowskis.
Yeah.
Spiking with the Gronks.
But there were rumors. I saw on the internet there were more rumors that Gronk was being traded to the Lions again, and so that's what kind of sparked this whole actual retirement. No. I think you're right, Parker. I think this is kind of it. Unless something happens, it's kind of like he's going out on his own terms. I know before he was like, "I'm not going to Detroit. I'm retiring." But I think the ship is sailing. So by his decision.
I totally agree. Well, we got 2 more quick things to talk about, and then we'll get out of here and have one hell of a week. I gotta give credit where it's due. Steph Curry and the Warriors bringing home the championship. Curry brings home the MVP. Goes to Game 6. They beat Boston in TD Garden, which me and Fitz talked about. Like that doesn't happen, much less twice in a series do you beat a team, especially a Boston team at home. So shout out to those guys. The Warriors got it done when needed to, and they bring home that 4th championship. And since 2013, they won their first one. 2015, I can't remember exactly, but really impressive what they've been able to do. And that's a built culture, not a bot culture, which I respect even more.
Yeah, I think you gotta start putting Steph up there with some elite company. Whether you think the new game's different. I mean, you look at the numbers, and I'd have to pull up the screenshot, but I mean, it's incredible what he's done. I mean, I think he's earned that discussion for sure.
Yeah, that was hot topic last week. Kendrick Perkins said, "Hey, it's time to put him at that table with Bird, O'Neal, Magic, Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. It's time to put Curry in that GOAT talk that a lot of people have." And you know what? If you go by rings, you go by performance. He's got both of them. He checks every box on the resume. So I agree.
I was kind of listening when I was listening to the radio this morning. I was envisioning, like, how Jordan had his docuseries and like we didn't grow up with it necessarily. I mean, I didn't grow up watching Michael Jordan. Like that wasn't really a thing for me. So like in 20 or 30 years, is there going to be like this docuseries on like Steph Curry? And we're going to be like, wow, like we had a podcast and we were talking about this guy. And like now we're giving all this insight. I don't know. Is this weird like vacuum of we could be listening to like an in-depth series in 30 years
That's
on
when
the
we'll
stuff that
know.
we're talking about now.
That's when we'll know we made it. When ESPN takes a clip of our show and does the 30 for 30. And I'm just bashing Curry in the earlier season. Now I'm like, yeah, you know what? Curry's the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
Warriors in 6.
Well, Steph is so unique because, you know, if you don't count Magic Johnson as a point guard, Steph is basically the only guard, like point guard in that list. And I think that's what's been so interesting is just he has proved that I can be 6'3" and just be the best shooter and shoot from, you know, from out of this gym and just it absolutely changed the game. So it is cool that, you know, the Warriors are the team. They're the team of this decade, and they've done it in a way that is so unique and has changed the game. Yeah, so it's just cool to see. The one thing I did think of is LeBron's still playing. And this decade's been defined, you know, really it was Cavs Warriors for the first, I don't know, 7 or 8 years of the 2010s. And so you know, and LeBron won with the Lakers not long ago. So I'm curious if those two will meet, if they'll ever meet in the finals again. But as of right now, yeah, I think Steph's got LeBron beat.
One final match, a retirement game 7. Winner retires forever. I like it.
Yeah.
And then the other playoffs that we have to talk about. NHL, it's been heating up. It's been in fuego. Avalanche jumped out 2-0 on Tampa. Tampa Bay came back and just threw haymakers left and right, beat the brakes off the Avalanche. Game 1 lived up to what we thought. Really close game, 1-point game. Game 2, Avalanche beat the dog shit out of Lightning. Lightning returned the favor last night. And so the Avs are still the favorite. They're up 2-1. It's not a series till you lose at home, right, Fitz? That's what you always say.
Yeah,
that's right. That's a good point.
And so if Tampa Bay can win at home, still win an Avalanche, Tim, that cup's coming home with Daddy over here. If not, then it might stay with you. I don't know. And Fitz still has a shot at it too. But this is close.
The big thing,
be good.
The big thing this week, I was watching my buddy from Denver flew into Asheville for Father's Day. So we were watching game 2 together, and he's loving it. He's all giddy, you know, 7-0, the final score. And I did say to him, I was like, hey, but it only counts as one game. You know, you can put on as many points as you want. It only counts as one game. So it's 2-1. Tampa still has the greatest goalie in hockey. You know, I'm ready for a series. You know, again, they gotta take care of business tomorrow. But hey, they make it 2-2, it's right back to even. So I'm in for it. I think it's gonna be a good finals.
Yeah. I always say too, if there's like any casual on the fence hockey fans out there and you watch a playoff game, especially with Nathan McKinnon on the ice, it's like, just go watch these guys. And then when, you know, Edmonton was in it with McDavid, the previous series, it's like, you don't appreciate how good these guys are until you watch and just, they play the game on easy mode on skates. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, I think Tampa kind of has that dog in them. They got that, you know, they've been there, done that, you know, no panic, go down 2-0, whatever. Let's, like you said, until someone wins one on the road, you know, let's just play our game, get back to Colorado with a split 2-2, and then see what happens. So I'm all in, man. It's going to be an exciting finish, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been a good series so far.
Yeah, Tim.
I'm trying to contain my excitement over here for this freaking series. It is so. If you are any bit of a hockey fan, this is exactly what you want in an NHL series. Oh my god! So, where to start? Okay, McKinnon. Watching McKinnon play as he brings it in, like he is so fast. Like he is the definition when I think of the Avalanche is punishing. It's McKinnon. Secretly, low key, I know I talked about him a couple weeks ago. Makar, he is playing a phenomenal series. I mean, it's only 3 games, but like he's had some very key turnovers, and then taking it up the ice. He has a few points already in the series. I've said it a couple weeks ago. I think he's going to be. I mean, he's a young star now. I think he's going to be a big name in a season or two. But Andre Palat for the Lightning, I think he's going to be the unsung hero if the Lightning make this comeback. Because you talk about Valevsky and how hard he is to tilt, and if you don't get any goals on him early, he's just a freaking wall. And you can talk about Stamkos all day. Stamkos is just, I mean, he pounds the puck whenever you need it to. But I think Palat is going to find the key goals. He did it in the Rangers series when they were down 2-0. And it's funny how it's the same setup too. Like the Lightning were down 2-0 in the Rangers at New York. They come down, and then that's when you start to see the Lightning turn it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh my gosh, man. Just every game has been so fun to watch. Like, this is hockey. We even had a fight last game. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Drop the gloves and start beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting too this next game because of that, quote however you want to view it, that hit on who was it on? One of the Lightning players, but it's going to get a little physical, I think, next game. And you got Pat Maroon, who's kind of he kind of keeps everything in check, but he's kind of that, that whole enforcer thing's kind of going away. Guys actually have to be able to handle the stick. They gotta, can't be a liability. Maroon's kind of one of those rare. He's a winger, but he's also kind of the quote unquote enforcer. So it'll be fun to see how the rest of the series plays out. But yeah, it's, to your point, Tim. It's like it's pretty incredible how good these athletes are and how fast they are. And like I said, if you're on the fence, if you're like casually watching, just give yourself a period, and I think you're gonna be impressed by what you see.
You're hooked.
One thing I noticed with, they have the stat in hockey for, pucks on goal or pucks on net. And I think for the Avalanche, they need a separate category that's just like chucks on net, because they'll just put it in there. Like they just put pressure. Like it's amazing how much pressure they put on defenses. Just like, all right, we're just gonna go. We're just gonna put the puck here. Maybe we get a deflection, or maybe. And I think in games 1 and 2, Vasilevsky is like, what the hell is going on? Especially game 2. So I
think that old meme.
I've been, what?
It's like that old meme, like, fuck it, Tariq's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
The puck's fine the net sometime.
Yeah.
But it's a good strategy. So yeah, it's interesting. We were just talking about the Warriors. Is this a new style? Is this a new era of hockey of just like, don't worry about the defense. Just put your best skaters down there and just go. Just
press the hell out of
rip
them.
it.
Best defense is a good offense kind of mentality.
Yeah. But yeah, it is very interesting to watch.
It's good. It's heating up. Tim, you and me are tied. We picked two separate teams. You picked the Avalanche, picked the Lightning. That could decide it right there, and then Fitz could still sneak in because right now he's on track for the goal points. Everybody else was like 30 points. Fitz like 45 points will be scored here now. I think he's on the money.
I like math, man. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with an average of 7 goals a game.
Yeah,
it's
working out.
I think it's going to 6 games. Actually, I had to go into 7, so I was gonna go with 50. I was gonna say 50 goals, but y'all were lowballing it. Y'all were like 24, 28, 30. I was like, I'll do 42. If it goes to 6 games, it's 7 goals a game. I'm like, I'll take it. And what has it been? 4-3 in game 1, 7-0 game 2, 6-2. So I'm above pace right now. So
yeah, you're on money. Jeremy, any pick for you? You pick an Avalanche or Lightning here?
Oh man, I tell you what, I'm just going to be the contrarian here. I just want some new blood. I'm a big Makar fan. I think he's one of the up and coming stars, and just watching him in these playoffs has been pretty incredible. It pretty much goes, I hate Rangers and their fans, and then the Leafs fans the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then the Lightning fans. Like all 3 of those, for some reason, they're quote unquote blue bloods lately of the NHL. Yeah. So I'm going to be the contrarian. I'd like to see some new blood. I'd like to see McKinnon finally win. I saw a cool article or interview with him where he's like, kind of the Kobe, like, we haven't won anything yet. Like, it is what it is. So I want to see him win, kind of to get that new blood into the game. So just based off preference, I'm going to go Colorado. I think Tampa is a solid pick. Whoever wants to ride with Tampa, but I think just based off what I've seen, I think Colorado finishes it at home in 7.
Yeah, I can't blame you on that. It tore me up to pick them. Basically, what decided me to pick them was our guys over at Smack Apparel. They're ready to throw another boat parade down there, and they invite us down there to go celebrate with them if Tampa wins. So, I'm ready to book my flight with them. So, Smack Apparel, go check them out. Go use our link on Instagram. You get a discount. They had Father's Day discount as well. They still got that going on. All sports, all the Smack Apparel you want, go grab it. You won't regret it. All right, pub parlay, and we'll get out of here. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, let's make some money. Last week we finally made money. I can never get the audio right.
Who's our producer?
Yeah, fire him immediately. So last week, me and Fitz made a real parlay and the opposite parlay, and our opposite parlay hit. So we made a little money off it. So maybe that's the golden ticket for us from now on.
Yeah, what was your baseball pick, Hacky?
It was
absurd how bad.
It was Arkansas. I can't remember. I don't know, but the
It was
opposite hit.
It was like 19-4, whatever we picked. Like,
bad.
if we didn't do the opposite, it would have been brutal.
Brutal, yeah, it would have been real bad. But we got some money in the account now, so we're good. We can do any day you guys want. It's really just baseball. Hockey is being played on Friday. We're for sure guaranteed that game, and then the next game would be game Sunday, but that's a question mark depending on who wins. And College World Series, question mark depending on how this week shakes up. So right now we for sure have baseball. I know it's not a whole lot, and a little footy action too. But if there's anything else you guys want me to look at, we can take a look at.
I have a ballsy pick, but I don't know how ballsy you guys are feeling. It's Friday night. I'm sorry, Jeremy. I'm taking the Astros over the Rangers. Verlander's pitching Friday night. Let's go. Taking the Astros.
Yeah. I like that. And if you go back and look at the numbers, I think over the last 2 years, the Astros have just absolutely just claimed ownership of the Rangers. It's bad. So, yeah, I mean, I think with Verlander doing what he's doing too, I think I like that.
Let's go.
Wait, I see them playing the Yankees on Friday.
What did I say?
I said the Rangers.
Oh, you might be
were
thinking you're mixing
hockey.
you're mixing your New York teams up.
Tim.
Oh, whoa. Okay, I'm still taking the Yankees.
You're taking them over the Yankees. Okay.
Yeah, Verlander's pitching.
I was like,
I'm
that's not ballsy, but no, okay. Yanks.
Yeah. I think
I like
on the
it,
mound
Tim.
for New York.
Ooh, maybe Cole. I don't know.
Ooh, a little revenge game against Houston.
I don't know.
Oh.
It's TBD.
Either way, I'm riding with Astros. I don't care if it was a rookie that called up. I'm riding with Houston.
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't. I can't do it.
Bid on that trash can, baby. Let's go.
That's right.
I like that pick, Tim.
Thanks for the support, guys.
I like it.
I'm going to go Atlanta FC taking on Toronto. I'm going to do a little MLS action here. Made some money this past weekend on them. I'm going to ride the train. Let's go Atlanta. It's in Atlanta, too. That place is pretty noisy when it gets loud. When it gets rocky.
All right. If we're going Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure. I think there's a Game 5 hockey on Friday. And, yeah, I'm going to call my shot.
Oh, gosh.
I'm banking on the Lightning to win Game 4. But even if the Lightning lose, I think they win Game 5 on the road. I think they get it back. They pull it together.
Oh man. Ooh. I'm here for it. That sets me up perfectly for a Game 6 Tampa Bay win in Tampa Bay.
Oh gosh.
What's the over under on that game Friday? Is it 6?
Should be. I can pull it up real quick.
I think they've been pretty much placing it at 6. Those are always interesting.
Yeah, I think so. That at least
tell you
game
what, I've got one since we talked about it. If you guys can do run lines, go Mets -1.5.
Yeah.
against the Marlins on Friday, since we were just kind of hyping up the Met train. Get some good value on that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. They've been so dangerous. Are they at Marlins or is that the Mets?
In Miami.
I like it. Yeah,
I think
minus one.
Be a little bit more value there, but yeah, I'll go Mets minus 1.5 in Miami.
Hell yeah, let's ride. This thing's hitting, or the opposites are gonna hit. We're just gonna keep riding that train. All right. I love it. Hey, that's it for this week. We typically do a random question, but we had a random sports fact. So unless you guys want to end on a random question, it's up to you, Jeremy. I don't know if you got one on top of the dome, or we can just head out. It's up to you.
Tell you what, I'm about fried out here. I'm good.
Perfect.
If you guys have anything, I'm good. Fire away. But I'm all set. That was a good time with you fellas. We gotta do it again anytime. I love hopping on and chopping it up with you guys. So appreciate you having me on, and we'll definitely do it again. Hopefully, sometime around football season, crank this thing back up.
Hey, let's do it. We'll get you on that Miami Dolphins grind.
There you go. Absolutely. I'm gonna go do my research on the win total of 9. So get my hopes up, and then get let down per usual.
Hey, I'm here for it. I like it. Next week, we got a special guest as well. Kirby Cornell, the Tennessee Volunteers pitcher, is coming on with us. The guy with the sick handlebar mustache, the red mane flying on. So get ready to mark your calendars for next week's 109, if I can talk. So listeners, watchers, tune in for that. Jeremy, thank you so much for hopping on. Can't wait to get you back, and y'all have a beautiful weekend. We'll catch you guys next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, fellas. We'll do it again soon.
Buddy. Bye.
Have a wonderful time. See ya. And a bet go well. Golly, we gotta get those guys back.
I know.
Wow, I think Fitz is the only
I
person
miss Slate.
reference to 2004 Pistons other than myself. Wow.
Yeah, I was about to say, hold on.
Thank
And I
you,
miss
Evan.
Matt too, I
That's
should
right.
say.
Well, I don't tie it.
I'm just going to go out and say it.
Hacky,
Joey
what was
Chestnut
your
has to be
parlay
on the pub.
pick?
Has to be.
Atlanta.
Has to be.
Braves?
How's the journey?
Nope.
Fitzmagic
FC.
in September is like one of the hottest
Atlanta
athletes in the world.
So you want to talk about putting a team on your back? Luka is
They're
Larry
playing
Bird
Saturday, but
reincarnated.
they already had the
This man
program
might
in
get
there.
it done.
And so there's a joke
And
that that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to get traded to the Tampa Bay
Yo, I fuck
Buccaneers.
with the spider.
And Tom Brady was
Wow.
like, "Nah, you're going to go with that motherfucker. I'm coming back."
10
Yo, Claudia will
seconds.
just say that randomly. Yo, I fucks with that spaghetti.
Yo,